There are deities in India which are made of 9 types of deadly poisons, a combination of 9 types of deadly poisons. This is called as Navapashana. It's an Indian alchemy where 9 poisons, which each one of them would kill you for a minute dose, but now 9 have combined together and they've made a deity out of it. Every day somebody pours water over that, and that water that comes out, people drink this with traces of those 9 deadly poisons. But this deity is melting away, people have drunk it up. It was made for that purpose. Periodically you must replace it as people drink it up. People should drink up the god. The body becomes far more buoyant in that water simply because of the sheer energy, because of the molecular arrangement has changed so dramatically because of the reverberation which is constantly on. Most probably, it's not like a guarantee because there's so many other influences, but largely I would say, you will not get into chronic ailments. In a South Indian jungle, a lion was really feeling a little, the king of the jungle. So he was just swaggering around like that. He saw a little rabbit, pop, he caught him. "Who is the king of the jungle?" he asked. You don't know whether you are a snack today? Said, you, my master, only you, who else can be? Let him go, okay, magnanimous today. And then a fox was going, pop, he caught the fox. "Who is the king of the jungle?" You know a fox, what he will say. He said all those things with extra attachments. Then he was feeling really full, and with a big swagger he came. There was a big clearing in the forest. He looked up, there was a huge tusker. He was in the mood, not considering sizes. Said, "Who is the king of the jungle?" The tusker, without a word, picked him up in his trunk, twirled him around and smashed him on the ground. His back broke. Then he said, "You could have just told me." The tusker said, "Well, I had to make my point." Life is just like this. After things go bad, "Well, you could have told me, I would have loved water. Somebody should have told me." No, see, your life has to make a point, otherwise not everybody gets it. So, in terms of one's spiritual growth, also what is very important, with what kind of memory, with what kind of attitude are we taking the water? I'm talking about the memory and attitude of the water. To create that, you have a responsibility, how to create that. In India, there's a word called teert. Teert. You've heard Tirtha Kund? Teert means water with a specific type of memory, with a specific capability to act. So a teert from a certain kind of temple supposed to do this to you. Teert from another kind of temple will do something else to you because the water flows over that and it has the memory of the divine. And there are deities in India which are made of 9 types of deadly poisons, a combination of 9 types of deadly poisons. This is called as Navapashana. It's an Indian alchemy where 9 poisons, which each one of them would kill you for a minute dose, but now 9 have combined together and they've made a deity out of it. Every day somebody pours water over that, and that water that comes out, people drink this with traces of those 9 deadly poisons, because over a period of time the deity wears out and they'll have to prepare a new one. There's a controversy is going on now because one very famous temple, the deity is all worn out. They should make a new one, but now the new laws, the government's laws does not allow making of a new deity. But this deity is melting away, people have drunk it up. It was made for that purpose. Periodically you must replace it as people drink it up. People should drink up the god. No? Because what is the idea and what is the point? Now I'm getting into trouble. We want to drink the gods, we want to eat them up so that they become part of every cell of our body and happen in a certain way. So tirth and prasad, very important. It's not because you've not eaten at home, you go to temple for that one drop of water or for that one little something that they give you. It's not because you have no food at home or water at home, because you want to take in water which has a certain type of memory, the memory of the divine, so that it functions within you in a certain way. So this science has been elaborated in many, many ways, in many absolutely incredible forms. And some of them are truly miraculous and fantastic, some of them are absolutely filthy over a period of time. All these things have happened. But what we are looking at now is water as an element. What can we do with it on a daily basis? See, water is used for everything. If you want to consecrate something, water is an important part of it. In most ancient cultures, whether it is Mesopotamian culture, Egyptian culture, the Jewish culture, India of course, probably only in India it still lives to a reasonable level. In all the other places it's been wiped out because of whatever influences that have happened in the last few hundred years. Without consecrating the food with water, they wouldn't consume it. Even today, you will see in most homes in India, those who still sit on the floor and eat, first thing is they'll take water, they'll put it around, sprinkle it on the food, then only they eat the food. Because what we consume should become conducive to us even before it enters us. In this, water plays a significant role. How we treat the water, that's how everything else is. There are various aspects to this, how different water bodies have gained reputation over a period of time. For example, Ganga is… now she's internationally famous and she's in lots of trouble. Right now there's a big effort to clean Ganga and put her back into some kind of this thing, but it is a big job. Actually, it's a very simple job, but people like to do big jobs because there's money involved. It's very simple. If you don't let any of the effluents in and give it one season, Ganga will clean herself, nobody need to clean her. Just takes one season. When the flood comes, she'll clean herself up. But they want to clean the river for whatever reason. Anyway, many people, not one or two, thousands of people, millions of people actually have experienced this by being on the banks of Ganga and consuming this water and taking a dip in this water. They have come out of all kinds of ailments. Sundarlal Bahuguna was a great proof of this in his efforts to save Ganga and the Himalayan rivers, which the movement was called as the Chipko movement at one time. I almost went full-time into that movement, but then I got enlightened. My direction changed. Otherwise I would have almost joined the Chipko movement at that time. There later on, these people were initially decried, later on admired as tree huggers. He's the one who got the tribal people to hug the trees. When they came to cut the trees, they went and hugged the trees and did not allow them to cut. Because the entire Indian railways at one time was built from the timber from Himalayan region. It took them 50 years to understand they could make the railway sleepers with something else, with concrete or metal or something. Otherwise, all of them were wooden because the British used wood. So they continued. The entire Indian railways was made from timber from Himalayan range. That means the whole forest range amounting to maybe 25,000 square miles vanished, but we had railways. So, so at that time, Sundarlal Bahuguna started a movement and he went there, I forget what's the ailment, he went there with a serious ailment. And he and his wife just lived on the banks of Ganga. Just every day Ganga water consumption and a dip. He just completely came out of that ailment. In my own experience, for 27 years, without a break, every year I went to Himalayas for trekking. I think only last 4 years or 5 years, I took people and then I gave up too much management and now our Sacred Walks is doing that. Otherwise, all those first 22 or 23 years I went alone, by myself. Many days, just drinking 2 to 3 times Ganga water, no food, nothing. I just trekked every day in the mountains, 18-20 kilometers a day. No food, I was just fine, fully charged up, just drinking this water. Distinctly different, especially beyond Gangotri. If you go and drink the Bhagirathi water, you see it just fires you up. Just 2 handfuls of water, you're done for the day. You're fully on. It just charges you up in such a big way. And even today, this is the only segment of the river which is not going through a turbine. Right now, the Ganga water that comes downstream into the plains has already gone through 3 or 4 turbines. They're generating electricity from this. They could have spared this one river because in many ways it is the very consciousness of India it is symbolically consciousness of India, and above all, the river had very special qualities. This is something that rudimentary idea is H2O is H2O. Wherever you take it, it's same H2O. You're only looking at the physical, chemical properties. There are other dimensions to life. Now science is trying to touch other aspects. After having, leveled out everything, now you're trying to build a mountain from the level land. It's a tough job. And your mountains may collapse very easily because they're built by you. A mountain that's standing for 1,000,000 years has gone through everything that it can go through, and it's standing because everything that can fall off has fallen off largely. So nature has its own way of doing things. These water bodies, I've experienced some water bodies as truly powerful process. It's from my experience of certain natural water bodies which were like, one, you just get into this water, you're like sparkling. Because of that experience, we decided to set up the Chandrakund and Suryakund in the ashram. I thought people should have some experience of water, what water does to you. And today, I think there are tens and thousands of people who know the well-being of being in charged water, what it means, how water behaves very differently. Many of you who've been in the Chandrakund or the Suryakund have experienced the excessive buoyancy of the water. You can check the pH factor, it is just normal. It is not like seawater, it's not Dead Sea where you can walk upon it and whatever. This is just regular water, but you can feel the body becomes far more buoyant in that water simply because of the sheer energy, because of the molecular arrangement has changed so dramatically because of the reverberation which is constantly on. We can create this in our own homes. I'm internationally acceptable way of making a Jivarasam. Have you seen the Jivarasam? So I'm designing and making a Jivarasam which will be internationally acceptable. Right now, what we're making in India is a very powerful Jivarasam, but there is a fetish in the world about certain substances, so we are making another kind of Jivarasam. A copper pot, a Jivarasam, a lamp on top of it. If you can put a flower or a leaf on it, it's fine. You put this in your house and consume this water on a daily basis. Most probably, it's not like a guarantee because there's so many other influences, but largely I would say, you will not get into chronic ailments. You have to catch a bug, that's different. But largely you will be free from body-generating ailments. Your attitude towards the entire thing, not seeing it as a commodity, but seeing it, water is bigger than your mother, yes or no? Hello? You don't like it? Water is bigger than your God, yes or no? If you say no, I'm going to deprive you of water for next 24 hours, in 24 hours' time you'll agree with me. So, I'm saying the fundamental life-making material, if you do not treat it as such, with the necessary value and the necessary reverence towards it, it has its own way of doing things. Maybe you've always been thinking if you do something wrong, a lightning rod will strike you down. Lightning may miss you, but water will get you. Yes, if you don't treat it well, it'll get you anyway. If you do the wrong things, it'll get you anyway. So, drinking water is one thing, we can't control the bathing water. If we could, that would be great. There are ways to do that. We are in the process of making a manual how you should conduct water around you and within you. It's part of the Bhuta Shuddhi. The practices are too complex and sophisticated to be taught to larger public, it'll take a certain effort. Simple practices can be taught. In the 21-day Hatha Yoga, we're teaching the Bhuta Shuddhi practice. Otherwise, there is Panchabhuta Aradhana where you can just experience some well-being through a ritual that happens. But understanding a few simple facts as to how you should deal with it, what's around you and what's within you. These two dimensions of water, you have relationship with not just this, what is around you also you have a relationship with this. And we can change the way the water bodies around you behave with you simply by doing certain things with yourself and sometimes with the water body itself. We want this to become common knowledge as it used to be at one time. If you've not made yourself sensitive enough to know, at least you must have information. It's not the same thing. If you could feel it, it would be the best way to do it.